Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Do you hear me at the back?
Yes.
How are you feeling this morning? Good, very good. Thank you very much. Look like Swiss clock. Very good, very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this beautiful tour of Budapest. I need to introduce very important people today, and the first one is our driver Attila. Give him an applause. Attila will be our captain. He will take us to Vienna, Prague, Berlin, so he stay with us the entire time. And most important person today is my dear friend Melinda. She will be guiding you through the beautiful city of Budapest, and also she's staying with us tonight and also at the parliament tomorrow. So we're not going to rid of her till Vienna, and maybe if you tell her to come with us to Vienna, I would be more than happy. Yeah. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Buckled up, it's very important. You need to buckle up. And also, if you would like it for your comfort, you can take this armrest up. Okay.
Ex-wife of Bill Gates. You know Melinda Gates, I have the same name. Yeah, not the same bank account, but the same name almost, yes, just a few zeros. Yes. So, we had a lovely day, sunshine. We had very, very cloudy and rainy weeks in Budapest, so we are very happy with the sunshine. It's very, very nice to see Budapest when it's sunny. And first, if you have a look to the right, you can see that interesting shaped roof building over there. That's a big shopping mall. Typical shopping mall, you know, behind the train station. If somebody wants to visit it at the afternoon, there is a big food court downstairs for a light lunch, probably after the tour if you want to walk there. And the building you see on the left, this is our Western train station. So this is a beautiful train station that was designed by Gustav Eiffel, who designed the Eiffel Tower. Ferris, the same architect. Yeah. So as you can see, we just turned around. So we are not far from the hotel, but we are going to drive into the city center first. And the first thing that I would like to do is just to teach you a nice Hungarian expression, Hungarian good morning. How much Hungarian do you speak? Not that much, probably. Don't worry, we have 1.5 days to learn to speak Hungarian, and we will. So, good morning in my language is jó reggelt. Jó reggelt. Very good. I have a friend from England, and she always says, you're a cat. You're a cat, yeah? That's pretty close. Okay. So, something much easier. If you want to say hello in Hungarian, that you can use, you know, in the morning, at the afternoon, at the evening, at night as well. Hello is szia. Szia. It's easy, yes, like see you, but we say szia. And the same word you use for bye-bye. The same word for bye-bye. So szia is a good word. It's really worth to learn it, to memorize it. And we have a very nice word for thank you as well. It's köszönöm. Köszönöm. I know it's a bit more difficult, but köszönöm. That's thank you. So if you learn these two, szia for hello and köszönöm for thank you, these are pretty enough in Budapest, because if you go to shops, stores, restaurants, cafes, they usually speak and understand English there. Of course, you can also meet someone who doesn't speak English at all. Then they will talk to you in Hungarian, but very loud and very slow, because they think it helps. But it doesn't help at all, because still you can't understand the word. If you see okay, so I have to see it, okay, and now we start the tour in Budapest, the bus tour, and first we are going to drive a little bit around here on the Pest side, because that's a very important thing about Budapest, that it is divided into two parts. there is a big river in our city, the river Danube, that we're gonna see soon. And that river divides the city into two parts, the eastern part and the western part. Now we are on the eastern part, and this is what we call Pest. Yeah, this is Pest. So I think you can guess how we call the other side then. If this is Pest, right, then the other side must be Buda. So Buda and the Pest. Actually, this is how we pronounce it. Pest, Budapest. We don't say Budapest, we say Budapest, yeah? Because Hungarian pronunciation is a little bit different. So Buda and Pest, they used to be two cities at the beginning of Hungarian history, and about 150 years ago they united them. So today that's one city, Budapest, with nearly 2 million people, so that's the population, like 1.8 million people live in Budapest. But Hungary, the country, is pretty small because only 10 million people are living here. That's the population, and 2 million people in the capital city, so 20% of the population, Hungarian population, lives in this city, in Budapest. And the second largest city has only 200,000 inhabitants. So Budapest is absolutely number one, the largest and the most important city of our country. And Hungary, I mean the size, the territory, is not big either. In comparison, for example, the United States, Hungary is as small as the state of Indiana. So just one state, and actually one of the smallest ones. So if you want to drive from the northern borders of Hungary down to the southern borders, it takes like 3 hours by car. And from the western to the eastern borders, that's like 5 or 6 hours. 5 to 6 hours driving. So that's all. That's that small country. We are landlocked, we have no seas or oceans. And Hungary is in a basin. Yeah, in the neighboring countries they are mountains, but Hungary is in a basin, and actually the largest part of our country is just flat. So these were just some general informations about the city and Hungary, but now we can go into a little bit more details, because Budapest, as I mentioned, is the capital, and this Pest side, this is mostly from the 1800s. There was a very, very fast, rapid development here at the second half of the 1800s. Almost everything I'm going to show you here on the Pest side was built between the 1850s and 1900. For example, the largest church of the city, the so-called St. Stephen's Basilica that you can see here on the right-hand side. This is a beautiful church built in the second half of the 1800s, and it was named after St. Stephen, who was the very first king of this country. The very first king of Hungary he was, King Stephen, or Saint Stephen we call him today, because he established not just the Hungarian kingdom, but also the Christian state, and he started to spread the Christianity among the pagan Hungarians 1,000 years ago, because the coronation of our very first king, St. Stephen, was in 1000. Still fell under the constructions of the building. That's why it took more than 50 years to build it. And if you are on the optional tour tomorrow morning, we are going to visit Parliament building first, but after that we're going to visit the St. Stephen's Basilica. Yeah, so it's a beautiful building. But now please have a look to the right, because there you can see the main square of our city. That's Elizabeth Square. That's very easy to recognize, because there's the Ferris wheel. Yeah, the Ferris wheel, that's a kind of main square. Here is Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and behind Ritz-Carlton there is a street called Fashion Street. Yeah, a little street, Fashion Street, because there are a couple of brand stores there. And if you walk just 2 short blocks to the end of the Fashion Street, and there is the beginning of the long pedestrian street over Budapest, shops and stores, cafes and restaurants. We call it Váci Street, V-A-C-I. Famous Jewish synagogue. If you have a look to the left, there you will see the famous Jewish synagogue of Budapest that we call the Dohany temple, named after the street where it's located. And it was built in the 1850s, And when it was built, it was the largest Jewish synagogue of the world. It was in the 1850s. But nowadays it's only second largest Jewish synagogue because the larger one was built in New York, in the United States. But we are very happy with the second largest synagogue as well. Yeah? They have a Jewish holiday now, so in the synagogue they have services today and also tomorrow. But here, if you have a look to the left, you can see the main entrance with some Hebrew inscriptions above, yes, behind the trees on the left. That's the main entrance of the temple, and the Hebrew letters, if I translate the words, they mean, they built me a shrine so I can live among them. So this is a beautiful romantic oriental style building. So Hungary had a big Jewish population back in the 1800s. Here in Budapest more than 1 million Jewish people were living, and it was the Jewish quarter where we are now. Jewish people were living at this part of the city. We still call it the Jewish quarter, although we don't have that high Jewish population anymore. Population was taken to death camps like Auschwitz, and approximately 600,000 Hungarian Jewish people were deported and killed. The Jewish population is about 1% of the entire Hungarian population these days. Most of them live in Budapest, here near this synagogue, and this is not the only one synagogue. I have to tell you, we have more than 20 active synagogues, Jewish schools, but in this area, Jewish restaurants and Jewish pastry shops, and a lot of very, very nice and interesting places to visit. And the synagogue itself is also, of course, an amazing building. So Hungary is mostly Roman Catholic, as I've mentioned before. Like 70% of our population is Roman Catholic, 20-25% that's Protestants, and 1% is Jewish. So these are the main religions. And I mentioned World War II. If you look around, if you have a look at these buildings, you can see that most of them are kind of historical buildings. The cityscape is mostly from the second half of the 1800s, as I've mentioned before, so probably you would never tell that more than 80 to 85% of these buildings were very badly damaged in World War II. Budapest had to rebuild lots of buildings, but after that we had a long communist regime with not much renovations or maintenance. And about 30 years ago they started cleaning and renovations. Let me show you one of my favorite buildings. Here on the right, look at this beautiful building with very nice mosaics and porcelain decorations outside. We call it the Paris courtyard or Parisian courtyard. It's actually a 5-star hotel. So we have fantastic architecture in our city, mostly from the 1800s. This building was also built in the 1890s, and it has been just recently cleaned and renovated. Cleaning and the maintenance, and if you look around it, you can see how beautiful the buildings are after they have been renovated and cleaned. Okay, but now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to cross one of the bridges of the city, and in front of us you can already see the other side, Buda, that has the beautiful hills, because the other side, Buda, is hilly, and you can see here is the river Danube, the big river of our city, the big river of Europe, we can say so, because Europe is the second longest river here in Europe. It is from Germany, it originates in Germany and it flows into the Black Sea. And we have 8 bridges. This is Elizabeth Bridge. And on the left, on the top of the hill, there is a statue. That's our Statue of Liberty. So we also have a Liberty statue. It was put up after World War II. I hope you are coming with us for the dinner cruise tonight, where we will get the perfect view of that statue from the river. That's where you can get the best view of it. And on the right, there is a big building with a green dome, a green roof. That's the former royal palace. Now we are going to drive to that direction. But please, have a look to the left and look up a little bit. There is a statue of a man holding a cross in his hand. Here on the left, that's Bishop Gellert, and the hill where the statue is, that's Gellert Hill. It was named after the bishop And it has a very sad story why the hill got the name of the bishop. This bishop came here 1,000 years ago when our first king, Saint Stephen, just started to spread the Christianity among the pagan Hungarians. But a lot of pagan Hungarians didn't want to take up their religion, and when the bishop came here to Buda, they captured him. So the pagans captured the bishop, they took him to the top of the hill, and they put him into an empty wine barrel that had long, sharp nails inside, and he was rolled down in that barrel from the top of the hill. So he died here. He died here as a martyr of Christianity, and that's why the hill got his name. I know this is a sad, very sad and tragic story, but I would like to tell you that since it happened, Hungarians have changed a lot, so we are very nice and friendly people these days. Yeah? But good to know, you may feel safe. So we are nice and friendly. It's safe to take off or get off the bus with me. But now let's see the next building that's here on the left. A very pretty building. It was built basically just to be a decoration. It was built about 150 years ago. Here on the left, pretty statues, staircases. They start from here and they are heading to the top of the hill where we have the old town, the so-called castle district, the beautiful old part of our city there that we are going to visit. Yes, that's where we will have the first stop of the tour. But now please have a look to the right, because there is the famous bridge of Budapest there called the Chain Bridge. That's the name, Chain Bridge. It was built in the 1840s. As I've mentioned, we had 8 bridges, but that's the oldest one. It is still partly under renovation. They had to reconstruct almost the entire bridge. I mean, the iron structure. There is a huge chain, really. We can't say, but there's a huge chain that connects the two banks of the river and holds the weight of the bridge. That's why we call it Chain Bridge. And on the left, there's the old funicular that goes to the old town. And on the right, look at these beautiful lion statues at the end of the bridge. They are the iconic statues of our city, the lions. And to the left, on the top, there is the palace, yeah, the former royal palace. Nowadays we have no royalties in Hungary, so the big palace is used as a museum. Not like a palace museum, I have to tell you, because the big palace we have here was built in the 1800s, beautiful style, but unfortunately we had lots of wars, even in the 1800s, different independence wars, freedom fights, because we were occupied. We were occupied by the Austrian, the Habsburg Empire, and we tried to get to independence, so there were a lot of wars. Then the palace was damaged, and the main damage came when Second World War started, because in World War II the palace was one of the main targets. In the 17 and 1800s they were from Austria, so you will see the palace in Austria actually. Beautiful part of the city to live, so we call it the residential side. If you look around, you can see that it is less commercial than the other side, Pest, where we have lots of businesses, a lot of entertainment. So Pest is the living part of the city with a lot of entertainment, with a lot of businesses. So the Pest side we usually call the commercial side, and this Buda side we just call the residential side of the city. That's where the Hungarians originally came from Asia. And according to the legends, golden deer appeared once, and the Hungarians started to chase them on the horseback, and the deer brought them here to this part of Europe. So that's why we have the statue of the deer here. And that interesting building on the left, yes, it's quite interesting, like a little castle. But it was the headquarters of a big bank before. Today that's a museum of finance. It's about a story of money, Hungarian forint, that's the local currency here, and the story of money, history of money, so that's a museum today. Okay, and as you can see, we just started driving uphill. because as I've mentioned, next we are going to visit the castle district. That's the older town, that's the historical part of the city. Buses are not allowed to drive in there, so here we will have a walking tour. So we are going to get off the bus, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to get off the bus in about 2 minutes.